Peace, like joy, is a state that it's very easy to cover because so many of the heavier, darker emotions are the descent out of peace. And you can look at peace as a non-friction event, as something that in a conflict-oriented paradigm is a non-event. So one could say peace is the absence of friction, of diversion. You can think of an easy flow. Now, it's very close to sleep because of that reason, meaning when everything is going fine, mentally, emotionally, and physically, we tend to lose the sense of self. Where we tend to find the sense of self is in the friction between wanting to flow somewhere and being blocked. And the emotion that comes up at that point is anger. I want to drive home. You're blocking my exit. I want to walk here. Someone's put a cordoned off and blocked the street. I want to get into the bank, but it's closed. So where you have an interruption of flow, you have conflict and an influx of consciousness. Because so much of what we think of as human consciousness is that simmering in the tension. You have things like peace, joy, almost effortless. And there's nothing to say about it. It just feels great. That's it. And then you can go to sleep. You can lose. When you're flowing harmoniously in relationship with everything around one, it becomes very easy to lose the distinction between self and other. Where we're really clear on who we are is, I want this, and I'm occupying this identity, this position. And I want this, and it's in polarity, it's in tension. And then the self comes into very sharp relief. It stands out in contrast. And so one of the draws to tension, to conflict, to rebellion, to antithesis, is the feeling of existence. Another is the feeling of vitality that comes from waking up and being in conflict with something. Those people, that group, that idea. I'm right and that was wrong. All of these create contrast between two polarities. And in that contrast, there is awakening and aliveness in terms of awareness and often vocabulary. So much of human consciousness is delivered through the language of words, through the idea of words, and in doing so, we have more language, more definition, more boundaries when we have a tension than when we have a flow. So everything good, all good, great, done. But everything's bad. What is bad? Is it a thought? Why do you think it's bad? Now you can endlessly take that simple flow of peace and go on a, multi-generational family saga of a feud with another family and all the intricacies, etc. And so much of drama, ego, and identity is born in the divergence from an easy, graceful flow with one's environment. And it provides an opportunity, intention for identity, which, having established itself as an identity, often leads to attachment. This is my identity. And then there are all these energy forces around my identity that are in tension with it. that engage with it in different ways. There's all these different sources of energy around my energy, all these patterns, and they affect me just like I affect them. And so in that dance of identity, in that dance of tension, there's no peace. There's an attachment to something in relationship to something else. There's a tension and there's a waking up in that process. So peace is very unconscious in many cases, usually when we lose awareness of ourselves. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just enjoying making some clay. I was enjoying doing this and that and the other, and I was in a state of flow, in peace with myself and what I'm doing. I was in a state of flow. I don't know where I went. I didn't have a sharp identity. There was just a sense of peace. There's also in a battle, in a tension, I've got to get this done, I've got to get this done, I've got to get this done. Now they've blocked me off here. I'm going to take a detour over here. Then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to call, no, you better wait for me. I'm coming, I'll be there in 5 minutes, and this and that and the other. And you got it done. So there's this battle with reality to achieve an objective, to hold an identity, to make something happen. And then I did. And there's a relief, there's a sense of peace before pivoting to what's the next thing. So peace is not something that is sought out. I mean, it's talked about being sought out, but it's not something that's sought out a lot of the time because the science of identity is so infantile as a cult phenomena that we don't have, in many ways, a very clear, solid, self-determined sense of identity. And so many of us are still in the process of defining exactly what we're fighting and why as a way of defining and identifying with something, to be all that interested in the unconscious peace, the graceful process of just letting what happens happen, and not having any particular attachment about it, because that is ultimately, one of the easiest ways to achieve peace is to let go of our attachment to changing what is, either inside or out. And in doing so, we have no more conflict, no more tension with what is, both within and without.